Hi folks, Dr. Ed Beyer. Today we're discussing female hormone imbalances, and we're going to be discussing a very common one that I see the 30 years I've been in practice, and that is adrenal gland dysfunction. So now the typical patient that I've seen over the hundreds of young females or females in their 30s, 40s, early 50s that have come to me complaining of weight gain, mood swings, PMS, hair loss, gaining hair on the face, infertility, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, weight fatigue, all these acne, all these different symptoms that we see when the female cycle gets dysregulated. And so many of them go to traditional medicine and they end up being put on synthetic hormones. So that's not what we're all about. I practice functional medicine, and I'm more interested in why a female would have a hormone problem, okay? The underlying causes. And the stuff that I'm sharing with you, it really is just endocrinology 101, and it's all in the scientific literature. So today I'm going to be sharing a very common one, and that is the adrenal gland not doing what it should do. Now, the adrenal glands are these little glands that sit on top of our kidneys, and they become more important to a female because as a female it gets about 30, 32, the levels of progesterone start to drop. Okay, a female starts to make less progesterone at the age, from their ovaries in their early 30s. So by the time they hit menopause, which is the average age is 51, they're making about 70% less progesterone at menopause than they are in their early 30s. Okay, so what happens is the adrenal glands become a backup gland for progesterone. And if you've been watching my videos and if you've been looking at this at all, we know that the levels of progesterone over estrogen, that ratio is extremely important for proper hormone balance in a female. So the adrenals become more important in young 30s to 50 and beyond for progesterone. Now, some of the symptoms that we see when the adrenals start to poop out on us, and the adrenals are our stress glands, so they really get overworked when we're under stress, whether that stress be a death in the family, a divorce, or an anemia, or inflammation, or an infection. So they can't fall or stay asleep, fatigue, especially in the morning and late afternoon, dizzy when they stand up too quickly, they perspire too easily, headache with exertion, weak nails, they wake up feeling tired even though they're sleeping, swelling in the hands and especially down at the ankles, frequent urination is a common one, poor muscle endurance, muscle cramps, they can't hold their breath very long, anxiety, and so these are some, and there's others, adrenal symptoms. Now the adrenal glands, the cortex, or the outer part of the adrenal glands, produce 6 hormones. Cortisol, which is a steroid hormone that regulates blood sugar when we need it to go up. It also regulates metabolism and our immune system. It reduces inflammation, and it's very important for memory function. DHEA, it's an acronym for a very long name. It's a precursor hormone from which menstruating women make mostly estrogen and a little bit of testosterone. It's the opposite in males. Aldosterone, which helps manage our minerals in our body, and then progesterone, okay, comes from the adrenal glands early on in the young 30s and on, and that becomes more important. This source of progesterone becomes more important as a female starts to hit mid-30s, early 40s, and beyond, okay? Now, here's what happens. Here's how the adrenal glands make these 6 hormones. Guess what it all comes from? Cholesterol. Yes, that evil villain that everyone hates is actually extremely important for our health. So cholesterol gets taken into the adrenal glands and also into the ovaries, and it gets converted into something called pregnenolone, which is known as the mother hormone, because from pregnenolone we make progesterone, cortisol, and DHEA. And then from progesterone we make aldosterone. And from DHEA, a female makes more estrogen and less testosterone, and the opposite in males. So I want you to remember this. Pregnenolone gets made into these 3 hormones. All right? Now, what happens, there's a phenomenon called Pregnenolone Steel. When the body is under acute stress, whatever that stress is, whether it be psychological or physiological, the body is going to need to make more of cortisol to handle that stress. And so what happens in the female body is more of the pregnenolone is being made into cortisol and less into progesterone and less into DHEA. So this female, they're able to produce cortisol, but at the expense of progesterone and DHEA. And that creates a hormone imbalance, okay? Also, this high cortisol impacts thyroid function in a negative way. So this is what stress does to our adrenal glands and how it impacts female hormones. So what would stress the adrenal glands? Well, taking hormones like birth control, pills, or whatever, patches, IUDs, lack of sleep, anemias, poor blood sugar is extremely stressful. Sugar, alcohol, caffeine, smoking, food sensitivities and inflammatory foods, all toxins, all stress our adrenal glands. Autoimmune disease, systemic inflammation, statin drugs, birth control pill, we mentioned that one, and any digestive dysfunction stresses the adrenal glands. Then they make more cortisol to handle the stress, but less progesterone, less DHEA, less estrogen. That's how that can cause an imbalance. So the key point is the adrenal gland function takes on an additional role from early 30s on in the female body. Anything stressing the adrenal glands will impair the adrenal gland's ability to make progesterone, DHEA, and estrogen. These stressors must be identified and managed and removed to be able to balance female hormones. 50% of female hormone imbalances can be fixed by addressing the adrenal glands. That's what in the literature, and that's what I've seen clinically in the 30 years I've been in practice. We have to test to be able to see the status of the adrenal glands. It's usually done through saliva. I'm Dr. Byer. I hope that helps. Have a great day.